Hey, what's up, everyone? You're currently tuned into TBD on KCSB FM 91.9 in Santa Barbara and netradio.com out of Tijuana. Today, I'm joined by 805 punk band Do You Compute? How you guys doing?
Hey.
Hey.
Real quickly, do you guys want to just like introduce yourselves and like say what you guys like play in the band and stuff?
Sure.
I'll go first.
Oh, okay. My name's Tim Iman.
No.
That was pretty good.
I'm Tim Iman, and I play the bass and I sing some.
So sick.
My name is Troy Castro, and I drum, and I don't sing to everyone's benefit.
Hi,
my name is Caleb. I play guitar and sing.
Hell yeah, Caleb! I'm glad to have you here, dude.
I made it.
It was touch and go.
I know. God bless, man. So I guess like, you know, we're heading into the new year now. We're like 8 days in. I guess when this is airing. But how's you guys' 2022? Do you want to like incorporate anything new into 2023? Any resolutions?
I think for me, it's probably getting to play a little bit more with these guys. 2022 is kind of a slow year for us. Caleb being in space and San Francisco occasionally. But he also had another child. Yeah, he had another kid. So we were a little bit unintentionally hiatused for a little bit while that was going on, but we were really excited to get back into it. So, these last couple of weeks and months, we're getting to play the live set with you was awesome.
Yeah, that was fun.
We have a show tomorrow, Jan 6 for our record release, and the next day in Ventura for the same thing. And I think we're just hopefully looking to get more of those on the books and getting some more fans and promoting the album. And so that's 2023. That's my hopes for it.
Dude, so sick.
I'm just hoping to not have any more children.
Did you have another one recently or something?
Oh, wait, no, that wasn't me. That was Caleb.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that. I don't know. I mean, it is, I guess, band and music related. I'm just stoked to have physical copies of our record because we've been sitting on it for so long.
Yeah.
And I've never been in a band that had someone else interested in it enough to invest in it and create physical copies. So we're really stoked to be part of the Killer Kern family and discography, and they do a really good job. They're really cool creatively with the release, and it's all fits a certain aesthetic, and they use the same people every time. So I'm looking forward to having one of those in my hands soon. Probably tomorrow at the show. So it'll be cool.
So dope, dude. I'm excited for that as well. So I guess before we jump like more into like about like your new release and stuff, kind of just to like get some background, but do you guys want to tell me like your intros into like DIY? I know you guys have like been in it for like ever, and you guys have also like grew up in like, I don't know, Goleta and Santa Barbara, where I feel like the scene was like extremely active there, like in the past. I don't know. Do you guys want to just tell me your intro to DIY? I guess we can start there.
Yeah, who's going first?
Tim, I feel like you are
as the veteran.
Yeah, you're the guy.
Yeah, we have a pretty good age spread in our band, so I've been around the longest, and been in bands in the Goleta area since high school, and grew up going to the living room. It's pretty much just the every weekend thing was just go to the all ages venue, and it didn't matter who was playing, you're just there to watch bands play and skate and so that's what I grew up with, and then kind of just wanted to like pass that on to the next generation. And so my brother Josh and I ran shows for over about 20 years at the Hard to Find in Goleta, and had a lot of awesome bands come through. And, I was always playing in bands too. And so we would open for a lot of those shows. And Josh and I played in a duo called Easter Teeth before this. And we played for about a decade together, and we're lucky enough to get to tour the country a few times and, make a lot of friends, and had a lot of fun doing that. But yeah, so I've just kind of like, people tell me at this point that I'm a lifer, and I don't know how I feel about that, but it is what it is.
How old are you, Tim?
What am I now? 45.
Oh, damn.
How much do you weigh? What's your... Just kidding.
Yeah, give me all the personal details. Let me see your license too. And
that's going down every day.
So sick.
What's your sign?
What's our password?
Are you Aries?
How much you bench?
I kind of want to tell everyone our password.
Yeah,
just everybody
put it in the chat.
I'm sure.
I still don't know what it is.
Yeah, Caleb
I
still
know.
needs it.
I know, because you ask me for it like every week.
I do.
Some TBD bands or fans help Caleb get into our Gmail account.
Yeah.
So
I want to hear about Troy, because Troy's not from Santa Barbara, so he has a very unique experience.
Yeah, I want to hear it too.
I think it's funny hearing it from Tim and like just talking about it previously with these guys. Like it all sounds very similar. It's just in a different city. So I was, I think the closest major city was Sacramento for us. So, we grew up with the big band for me when I was growing up was actually Deftones.
Oh, hell
and
yeah.
going to their shows, and that was like our big band that was breaking out finally and like getting into the mainstream that all these weird local kids really liked.
Oh, that's crazy.
But yeah, I mean, like it started in church. I think initially it was all these like little punk skater kids would take over the church, our local church at the, during the weekend, and plug in instruments and just play like really, really terrible music and mosh and get the parents mad at us for probably breaking things and being too physical. And so that's kind of where it started for me. And my brother was always kind of in bands. He was in like some post-hardcore bands growing up, and I was always kind of living vicariously through him. And then just, continued playing, continued going to shows.
Yeah.
Nothing too exciting. Like listen to Tim talk and tell stories about like the bands that used to come through the Hard to Find. Like I wish that I grew up in like Santa Barbara, Goleta area during that golden era of bands coming through here and playing shows at that place. But so yeah, probably not as exciting as Tim's, but that's where it started. And then I moved down here, got in a band called Gunpowder Empires, which was another like post-hardcore kind of post-punk band, and drummed for them, and that lasted a couple of years, and then
that band was sick
as well. And then this is actually how I met Tim and Caleb, was through that band. We played shows together and
nice,
talking a little bit before the pandemic, and yeah.
I remember like I guess when I first started getting into like DIY around Santa Barbara, I feel like I caught the tail end of when you guys were like active. But
they definitely got me emotional.
Tim was emotional enough to hit us up later.
Hell yeah, that's sick. How about you, Caleb? Tell me a little bit about how you got started in playing music and stuff.
Similar to Troy and Tim too, probably, but my parents are musicians, and they played music in our church growing up, and the living room, which is like, the living room, really popular all ages venue in Goleta at the time, was actually next door to the church that I grew up in. And that
humping?
church, what?
The dogs.
And that, yeah.
They got really excited.
That church had a coffee shop attached to it, which also did shows. And they would book like pretty insane bands. Yeah, it was called Sniffies. It was right next door to the living room. So
that's sick.
I would go to shows that the church was promoting, and then be like, oh, what's going on here? I'd hear music coming from like the place next door, and I'd go inside and watch like a bunch of like grindcore bands from Japan or something and be like, oh, that like blew my mind. So it was like, I eventually just got wrapped up into all of it with like, we would go there and skateboard like Tim was saying, or got like really swept up into the hardcore scene in like the early 2000s, like 2000, 2001. Straight edge was like really big then too. A lot of straight edge bands. I saw AFI play there for like, you know, like a couple hundred people, like just ridiculous shows that just wouldn't exist today because all those bands are playing Coachella now or like some festival. But it was a really awesome place to be a part of and go to shows at. And the owner was really cool and really laid back. His name was Larry Mills. And so the kids ran it. It was run by kids. It was a very DIY like venue, even though big bands would play, big commercially popular bands would come play.
Yeah. So whatever happened to the living room?
I mean, everyone, I'm not like the authority on it, but like from my understanding is I think their lease ran out. It was a combination of like the lease running out and Larry, the owner, just kind of being over it. Because when he started the venue, he started it for his daughter so she could have a place to go. There's no drugs, no alcohol, and she can go and see music. And by the time it ended, I think his daughter had like 3 or 4 kids and was just like not even going to shows anymore or anything.
Yeah.
So it stayed open for a long time. It had a long history, but like you've seen in Santa Barbara today, it's really hard to do an all ages venue now.
Oh yeah.
Keep it going.
So do you know exactly like when around that time that like the living room was like a thing?
Yeah. It started in the 90s and it ran until like, I don't know, maybe like 2009, 2010, something like that. I just remember when it stopped, it completely like affected everyone I knew. It's like suddenly all the straight edge kids were breaking edge. Suddenly all the people who like their whole life was booking shows and playing in bands, they were, you know, going to Chumash Casino and or like everyone just was like, what do I do? Where's my direction now? Yeah. Like going to shows was our whole life. And so when we lost our like mecca, essentially like for shows, we were like, what do we do with our lives?
This all became gamblers, and there was drug addicts.
Yeah.
Immediately after.
Essentially. Yeah. But there was a big movement and a big push to bring it back. And like, they had access to all the sound equipment still. And they were like, well, we got to bring back the living room. And it just never happened. But yeah, that place was it for me. I went to shows at the Bico and a lot of places that don't exist anymore. But
Pink Mailbox.
Pink Mailbox is another one.
Yeah. I played Pink Mailbox with one of my first like hardcore type bands. We were called Groundhog's Day. And there used to be a guy named Phil who worked at Ebullition in Goleta, and he lived at Pink Mailbox, I think, and got us the show. But that was a big deal for me because that place was like pretty legendary.
Yeah. That's sick. So
I don't know. I just always been in bands, and I'm still in a band somehow. So just holding on.
So were you going to shows that Tim was booking? Tim and his brother were booking at
Oh yeah. Yes, 100%.
At the Hard to Find, yeah.
Like, yeah, oh my, like the amount of insane bands I saw at Hard to Find, even in the last 10 years, is like, I don't know how Tim and Josh got all those bands. Like,
you don't want to know.
Like I saw, like, like how did like that City of Caterpillar show? That was insane because I saw City of Caterpillar at the Living Room like 20 years ago. And then I saw them at Hard to Find like 4 or 5 years ago. And I like told the guy like, hey, I saw you guys play in Goleta like forever ago, and he was just blown away. He's like, "Thanks so much for coming back and seeing us." And I was like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of those bands that play are like unaware at how much people love them. And
for
like
sure,
Blast, I saw like Blast there. Like it's just crazy the bands that you guys got, Tim. Even recently, like I'm still kind of blown away by it.
It was mostly Josh. He got all the good bands.
So how did you guys get all the good bands? Was it just like connections you made like while you're playing and like booking and stuff, or?
Some of it, yeah. I mean, my brother was always just really good at sort of networking and all that. And, he just would make friends with the right people. And, he was talking to like Flower Booking a lot, and they would send us, bands like Minus the Bear and
oh, that's insane.
Stuff like that. And
what's Flower Booking? Was that just like a big time promoter, like a booking agency or something?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like it was run by somebody everyone would know. I don't remember who now, but yeah. And, eventually Josh got kind of burnt out on doing all the booking. So I took over for the tail end of our time booking shows there. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's kind of like every other era in any other scene in any city though, where, people talk about like the golden age now and all the amazing shows that were going on. But in reality, when it was happening, it was a lot of hard work, not glamorous.
Yeah.
Most of the time there'd be, we were lucky if there were 50 people there.
Yeah.
And nowadays, and then, 10 years down the road, everyone's like, I was there, man. I'm like, no, you weren't.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just the way it is.
Yeah. How did you get access to the Hard to Find Him? Like, how did you guys start doing that?
It's our church.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So my dad is the pastor, and
oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So, he's always been very community minded and liked the idea of, having a place that was all ages and drug and alcohol free, where kids can hang out. And he's always been really supportive of the arts, music and other arts as well. So, he was all for it. And, he trusted me and my brother and knew we would do a good job of it. So yeah, we were pretty fortunate to have that space.
Dude, that's so sick. So are you guys still doing stuff there or not really?
I think the last show we did was like pre-COVID, like 2018.
Oh wow.
And we sort of had we had a hiccup with the building owners and requiring more insurance and security from us and everything. And so we just thought, this is too much of a hassle. We're just not going to do it.
Yeah.
And haven't gotten back around to it. And, COVID hit and all of that. So we'll see.
I feel that.
May have played one of the last shows at the Hard to Find, if not the last show. I can't remember.
I went to like one really good show. The last one I went to was I think actually the day of my girlfriend and I's anniversary, but it was our friend Megan's birthday party or something. And a bunch of bands played. I think that was the last show I ever went to there.
Yeah, I think that show was actually part of the reason why we got shut down, because
oh, was it really?
Videos were all over social media, and there were like hundreds of people at that show.
Oh yeah, that show was huge.
And the owner saw it somehow and was like, you're not allowed to have that many people in that room.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's how it goes. Yeah.
Yeah, so, that was not the one I played. There was only like 10 people in the audience. As soon as I heard like hundreds of people, I was like, that's not the one. It's not the one.
Yeah, right.
we recorded our album there, though. I think that's kind of noteworthy. So there's
that's cool.
A piece of it kind of instilled and to what we're doing today.
Nice. So I guess just real quick before we move on, but were you ever going to shows like the Pickle Patch or any of that stuff that was going on?
I went to kind of the tail end of the Pickle Patch.
Okay.
I went to a couple shows before they moved, and then went to some more when they were in their second location that was in like a old frat house or something.
Oh yeah, I remember. I watched like some podcast or something with Steve Aoki, and he was kind of like talking about how they got like an old frat house and tried to make it into like the new Pickle Patch or something. But I do think it's really crazy. Like the guy from Numbskull was like booking like at the drive-in and stuff at like the Pickle Patch, which like,
yeah,
for anybody listening that doesn't know, that was just an apartment like room. You know what I mean? Like I think it's crazy that they're having like huge shows just in like an apartment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Eddie Numbskull, he's a good guy.
So were you going
What's
to
up,
like
Eddie?
Yeah, right. So were you going to that guy's shows at all back in the day as well?
Yeah,
What was that?
100%. Yeah, like every other show at Living Room was Eddie.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, he also played bass for this band called The Missing 23rd from Oxnard.
Oh, interesting.
And they were like one of my favorite bands ever. They still are. They're awesome. They just played Nardfest this last year.
Oh, that's crazy.
They're so good. They're really hard to like define. It's just like good punk.
Yeah.
Some hardcore crossover stuff, but it's such a good band. He played bass in that band for a while. But I don't know. And I think other shows I've been to in the last year or so are still being booked by Eddie Numbskull. Like that guy is just,
he's still booking stuff. It's crazy. But like what's wild is like, I feel like he's like past booking DIY and he's just like getting all these huge bands. You know what I mean? It's like crazy.
Yeah. He has kind of a whole network of and he has a lot of people under him now that run the shows in different towns all over. I mean, he's up in Fresno, Bakersfield.
I know, I've seen that too, that he's like definitely not even just in like Ventura County anymore. It's like all over the place. I'm just like, dude, how?
He does more in like Central California now.
Yeah, which is like pretty wild. I don't know. I mean, it's like sick though to see that like he started like doing DIY stuff and now it's like, something even greater, I guess. You know what I mean?
He, at least initially he was really cool about putting local bands on the bill as openers. I mean, like one of my bands opened for, he put us on a Cave-In bill at the Living Room back in the day when I was like 21 years old, and so yeah, he was always, like watching out for people coming up,
Oh yeah, that's so sick.
Well, the Hard to Find was still going strong.
Oh, okay, for sure.
In 2010. Yeah, like that's right. Caleb, were you in Fell to Low around then?
Yeah, like from its inception, I didn't have anything to do with the songwriting or anything like that. I was just kind of like a hired gun, like, oh, you can learn the songs and you can come to these shows.
Yeah.
It was just like this. I was in the same friend group, so ended up playing guitar for like 8 to 10 shows or something, and it was super fun. Like, because that band didn't really fit in with anyone. It didn't really fit in with any crowd or any sound because it was so mathy and angular. And
Fell Too Low is sick.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal band. I was more a fan than I was a member of the band. I just felt lucky to play the songs and get to hang out and hang out with my friends. But yeah, we played the Chain Reaction with Blacklisted, and it was when Blacklisted had done that like kind of grungy album, and they were kind of creating like a civil war in the hardcore scene of like what actually is hardcore anymore.
Yeah.
And so we somehow got on that. I think it had to do with Todd Jones because he was friends with all of us, and he was in Blacklisted at one point. But it was just wild. Like, I felt so lucky to be in that band for that short period of time and just see how confused people were every time we'd play. Like, what was that? Like, what just happened?
Yeah, I remember Walker
but-
telling me that once, that he felt like he just didn't fit in a lot of the bills they played. But
No, it's very much like they were a band that could have played by themselves somewhere, and that would have been enough. You would have gotten enough of an experience to just go home after that.
yeah,
They're just really good. Every single formation of that band, whoever was playing guitar or bass just really killed it and did such a good job. And Travis, the singer, and Walker, who's like the principal songwriter for all of it, just they're just such a sick band to see live. They're so entertaining and put on such a good show.
yeah.
But at the Hard to Find, I had kind of an alt country band at that point in time. I was like,
What were you guys called?
We were called Shush Honey, and it was like if you told someone named Honey to shush or be quiet, it was one word, Shush Honey.
That's sick.
But that's what I was doing. I kind of took a step back and was like, I'm not angry and pissed off anymore. I want to explore other types of music. And we played a show at the Hard to Find with some band from Santa Cruz and some local bands. And so Hard to Find was still going during that time. It was kind of all there was. It was Hard to Find, and then eventually Fun Zone.
Was Casa de la Raza like doing shows at that time, or was that like way before?
Casa was doing hardcore shows, obviously like back in the 80s with like Black Flag and other big bands at the time. But I want to say like 2005, 2006, Casa was doing a lot of hardcore shows. And they were for a period of time, and then they stopped. I don't know why, but Casa had a lot of good shows too, though, now that I think about it. I saw that band Torch.
That's sick.
And they were ridiculous. It was probably like a 5-band bill, and for Torch it said all the other bands, like 9 to 10 this band, 10 to 11 this band, and then for Torch it said 11 and then a question mark. Like no clue of when they would actually end.
Yeah,
they played with full stacks, and like everyone was deaf like after the show. It was so sick.
That's
just
so
playing
sick.
in like a big room with all tile, like the sound just like reflecting everywhere.
Yeah.
They were sick live. But Casa had a ton of shows. I probably only saw like 1/10 of all the shows at Casa during that time, but
yeah,
a lot of good stuff.
Did you go to that last show they had in like the summer?
I didn't. I really wanted to because I grew up with all the guys in Downpresser.
Yeah.
And started playing music with them, actually. Like the main guitarist, Sean, me and him had a metalcore band in like the early 2000s.
That's sick.
And he played drums for that. He's also a phenomenal drummer. But I wanted to go see him play, but I don't know what happened. I have a bunch of kids, and I usually can't always go to shows unless they're like 5 minutes away.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
I think we left off at like Fun Zone or something. When did that start? Were you guys like playing shows there or going to any of those?
Yeah.
I was pretty good friends with Spencer. I mean, I still am. We keep in touch. And it wasn't that long ago.
It was probably 2018, maybe 17.
Yeah.
Close on.
Like right when
That
I
sounds
started
about
like
right.
going to shows over there, I think they quit like right when I got involved. But
yeah, but yeah, he booked a lot of pretty rad shows for such a small space. You know, saw Pile there more than once.
That's so sick. Yeah, Pile's really good.
Yeah. One of the times I think Pile played, there was another band called oh shoot, what are they? Great like instrumental math rock band. I'm forgetting now. You can edit that out.
I remember Spencer had invited me to go see Pile at Soho, and they were playing somebody's like birthday party or something.
Yeah.
Like someone just had like paid them to fly out.
I went to that show and I brought my wife, and like didn't really give her too much information, and it was like the best date ever because it was like everything was included. There's like appetizers,
Yeah, it was
drinks,
sick.
and like there was some interesting opener bands, and Pyle was so good, and whose birthday was it? I think it was someone from Ojai.
Was it someone from Ojai? Damn, I thought it was someone from Santa Barbara, but yeah, I had no idea. I didn't know like anybody there. I just like went. Spencer was like, "You want to see Pyle?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's sick."
They were so good. They were like, I don't know if they had toured right before that or were about to go on tour, but they were really good. They were really tight.
Yeah.
And they sounded really good in Soho. Like Soho has pretty decent PA system and stuff. So
yeah, I mean,
cool.
Just for the record, guys, I was invited to that too.
You should have come for the.
I don't want to be left out, so I definitely was. I just had another cool secret show to go to that night.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I probably had to like, write lesson plans.
Yeah, something cool.
Yeah. Anyways, so I guess like fast forward, when did you guys start Do You Compute? You guys all played in like a bunch of like bands before that. We're going to shows, all that stuff. When did you decide like, all right, let's make Do You Compute happen?
Well, the way I remember it is, so my band with my brother, Easter Teeth, we decided we were going to go on a hiatus for at least a year. And
why did you decide that, by the way?
Why did we?
Yeah, because I feel like you guys were playing so long. I felt like you guys were like a Santa Barbara staple.
I don't even remember now. It was just kind of like a mental wellness decision, you know?
That's fair. Yeah.
And Josh was planning to move out of town, which he still hasn't. So we decided on that. And then in the space of that hiatus, like, as we said, like I was already a fan of Troy's band and Caleb's music and had known those guys already. And so Troy's bandmate, Vince, kind of started wooing me. It was very sexy. He wanted to try to, play together. And then I think Caleb, separately from that, approached me and said, "Hey man, we should like do something sometime." And then I thought, well, why don't we try to all get along and do this all together? And so actually Vince was part of like the first iteration of this group. And then he kind of eventually bowed out, and then me and Troy and Caleb kept it up. So that was all like pre-COVID, but then COVID hit and kind of just forced us to go slow and just like think pretty carefully about what we really wanted to sound like. We knew we weren't going to get to play any shows anytime soon, so we just kind of like tried to dial in our sound and yeah, it's been rad. I think we all have kind of the same philosophy on music and same kind of like laid back approach to it, and but also want it to be excellent. And so it's been good.
That's cool. Okay, so I guess like back to Do You Compute? So what like kind of like creative itch were you like trying to scratch when you were like, okay, like let's start?
I don't know if we had an idea.
Start like making music.
I'm not sure if we came in with any specific ideas other than like, I think we all have a very similar background in terms of taste and bands that influence us. So I think we have a lot of the same influences, and I would say it's not like we're ever trying to like rip off anybody, but we're trying to take all of our influences, at least like the emotional feeling of them, and kind of combining them in like one sonic package. But I don't know. It came out very interesting, especially to me. Like I've never been in a band where I would consider like two lead songwriters and singers, and you can kind of hear that in our band. It's pretty evident in terms of like songs that Caleb primarily wrote and songs that Tim primarily wrote, and then obviously you get elements from both of those guys writing together as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I mean, I in terms of like what we came in and as a goal, like I don't know, I can't think of anything. Maybe you guys can help me, but I remember specifically being like, who wants to even play what instrument? Because there's a bunch of people in this band that can play drums and guitar and bass and
play like
hop around. So like we didn't even know what instruments we wanted to play.
Oh wow, that's wild. Yeah.
Yeah, Troy's actually a really proficient guitarist who just doesn't practice.
He's probably the best singer out of all of us too.
Oh yeah, by far. When we first started, we had like a get together with our significant others and family, and we all brought like old bands we had been in, and like funny recordings and demos and just stuff that like had never seen the light of day, just as for fun. And Troy showed us a bunch of his old songs and solo stuff, and we're like, dude, this is so good. Like, where he played everything on it, and like, so we're at that point, me and Tim are like, wait, maybe we should have Troy like sing like some songs too. And like, it never really panned out, but we still have that, like, in case, or maybe for the next LP or EP or something, have Troy sing lead or sing backup on some songs.
You keep Troy's vocals in your back pocket.
Yeah. I'm actually
always be stuck on bass because Caleb's a way better drummer than I am, and Troy's a way better guitar player than I am. So
we could turn it into like a keyboard centric band.
Yeah.
I think I'm over the keyboard. Don't tell Cassie that.
Yeah.
The Casio. Keyboard from Easter Teeth.
The keyboard. I will say though that Tim, as a vocalist, can like out scream all of us. Like, his vocals are all, even if the mic is like broken or it's a horrible PA, like I can always hear Tim's vocals, like even playing your radio show and having him no monitors or anything, like I could still hear him at certain points.
Yeah.
So he's got pipes. So yeah, I think
from yelling at kids all day.
Yeah, right. You got those teacher lungs, dude.
I think also, as far as influence goes, and just kind of what this band's been like, from my perspective, I haven't ever been in a band that was so democratic. Like, if someone's not down for a part, we just won't do it. And if one person is like proposing something, we'll try it out and then we'll vote on it, you know?
Oh, that's sick.
And it's very collaborative. Like, Troy will be like, what if you did this with your guitar? And I'll try and make some iteration of what he's saying. And a lot of the time it works and it sounds cool. And when Tim writes, he doesn't write guitar parts for me. So I'm used to being in a band where someone is dictating, this is the guitar part, this is what you should play. And I just play it and maybe put some of my own stuff into it. Whereas Tim is like, this is what I'm going to play on bass. What do you want to play? And he like gives me creative space to like make it sound interesting. And then at that point, we might be like, dude, that sounds like the Jesus Lizard, or that sounds like Blue Tip, or that sounds like Fugazi. And then from there, I can like do some homework and try and make it more in that vein, or make it more in that style, I guess. So it's very unique. I've never been in a band like this as far as the creative process goes.
Yeah, dude, you just made me remember that the end of To Hunt, that was Troy coming up with that bass part.
Do a lot of mouth instrumentation.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
A lot of doo-bops and yeah.
A lot of scatting.
Yeah, I'm kind of a scat man.
We're all super into flapper music.
Yeah, right.
You know, like Paul McCartney's later years.
Wings, brother.
Shout out. So That's really sick. I don't know. Do you guys think that came from, I don't know, just like being in bands that were not like that, just having so much experience? Like,
That's a really,
like, all right, I want this to like go smoothly this time. I don't know.
A really good point. I mean, like, I don't know if explicitly. I mean, yeah, now, like, not like maintaining in it for sure, 100%. Like, I had been in bands where you have, you know, the creative lead being a little bit more of a, you know, dictator in terms of like how the band should sound, or really taking a hard line on stuff. And, you know, music in general, I think all of us, like, I think the general philosophy is like, have fun, feel energized, you know, write something interesting, write something fun. But if it's at the detriment of somebody's like mental health, or even just, you know, basically, I don't really like that. I think, you know, to Caleb's point, it's been very democratic, and like, we're just, you know, there's no hill that we're like trying to die on, the three of us. So it's all right, back to the drawing board until we get something that we all three are into.
That's sick.
Yeah.
I think it really all just comes down to our love of 311.
Hey,
And-
don't forget ICP.
ICP, dude.
Yeah.
You guys got to start.
What we're
painting
trying
your
to do
faces.
is a crossover between 311 and ICP. And I feel like we've nailed it.
If you take one thing, I guess one more thing from ICP, you guys got to do the face paint at your gigs.
I had it on. There's a little smudge right here.
You kind of
still.
see a little bit.
I
Yeah.
tried to get it all off. But
Yeah.
I was thinking about fully committing and just getting a face tattoo of all that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just permanent clown makeup.
Yeah, permanent. Just
Tim, do
100%.
your students know you're part of the ICP?
Yeah, I mean, they sometimes wonder, like, what is that smudge of makeup?
just trying to hide it.
When they see your juggalo tattoo. at
Yeah,
lunchtime.
right.
They always see me pounding Fago.
There you go.
Dude, what's like really crazy is like I did student government in community college as like an extracurricular thing, and there was this one guy that was there. That guy was like legit an ex-ICP like person.
Nice.
And he had like an
Whoa.
ICP tattoo, and he was like telling me like, dude, yeah, like I used to be all part of it and go to like gathering of the juggalos, and I was kind of just like, what the hell, dude? Like I didn't think these people actually existed in real life. Like,
Oh my god, no, they're out there in numbers, man. They're especially in Michigan. What's super weird is like the tiny little town that I was from. You would go to like the fairgrounds every year for the fair, and it was just a sea of ICP people.
was it
Just
really like all painted up and stuff?
painted up, full costumes, Jinko jeans?
Damn,
got
that's
strappy
sick.
things, fake hatfits. There you go. They're going the whole nine.
Dude, that
Oh,
is
yeah.
so cool. I want to
Yeah.
see that. That sounds sick.
Yeah, it's been like our. I'll have to send you stuff. We just keep making like a bunch of ICP fan art with us like superimposed over it.
Not even joking.
Yeah.
Dude, Senso, I want to see that. Sounds hilarious, dude.
Oh, what was that one? The press photo.
You made us all like juggalos. You like did some effect that like gave us all face paint or something. It's like
Yeah.
the whatever ICP GIFs exist on the iPhone.
Dude, that's
There it
sick,
is.
honestly. Dude, post
It
those
comes-
on the Do You Compute Instagram.
I say we just make t-shirts. or
Honestly,
something.
that would be so sick. I would buy one of those t-shirts so quick. I'd buy 20 of them.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, set up an Amazon store and just we get so much ICP traffic. And
Yeah,
like
right.
it would
How are you gonna get
unknowingly representing our band.
How can we siphon off all the ICP fans?
Yeah, right.
One of us needs to get dreadlocks, and then someone else needs to get cornrows, and then
Working on it.
someone needs to shave their head, and then we'll have the trifecta.
Yeah, right. Okay, so you guys just got signed to like Killer Kern, right? Or like a few months ago, you guys are releasing your record. You have your record release show coming up. Do you want to tell me how that happened and tell me more about just like Killer Kern and like everything that's going down there? We kind of mentioned it briefly in the beginning of the interview, but let's talk more about it.
Yeah. So I was basically just from, connections I had from previous bands. And really, I mean, it goes so far back. I have always loved playing in Bakersfield. Which when I tell people that, they're like, "What?"
They're like, "What?" Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's just like a town full of people that love music and love to go out, and so I've made some good friends in that area that I've known for 20 years now, and so when we put this album together and we were trying to decide what to do with it, I said, well, let me just send out a few emails before we just settle on like doing it digitally ourselves or something. And
yeah.
So Dylan at Killer Kern, who I had met before, and like my previous bands have played with his bands and that kind of thing. And so I reached out to him, but also one of the other bands on his label, Contranistas, who's playing with us tomorrow night and also Saturday in Ventura. I've known the guys in that band for a long time, and they kind of vouched for us and said, we've known Tim for a long time, and what he does is legit. And so I hit up Dylan, and at first he was saying, well, I can't really take on another band right now. And I said, well, yeah, that's understandable. Do you want to hear the music anyway? And I sent it to him, and he said, yeah, sure. I'll give it a listen. And to our surprise, he got back to us and basically said, this is so good, I have to put it out. And so that was it. And
that's so sick.
He said it'll be a while because there were some other bands ahead of us on the list, but yeah, we were really surprised and just really honored to get, like Caleb was saying, somebody else who's willing to put up some of their hard-earned money to put this on vinyl for us. And
I think that's crazy.
So yeah, we're pretty grateful. We're going out to Bakersfield on the 21st to do sort of our Killer Kern release show, and I'm looking forward to that because I'm sure I'll see a bunch of my old friends in Baco.
Yeah, God bless. That'll be sick. So is this like one of your first bands that's ever put anything out on vinyl before?
Well, my last band put out a 7-inch.
Oh, sick.
That was we were on a label that's not around anymore called Veritas Vinyl, but that's the only vinyl I've gotten to do before.
That's cool. Yeah, that's sick. So Killer Kern out of like Bakersfield. Who else have they put out? Do you guys have any like other bands that that you're fans of or anything that they put out?
Yeah, so the guy that runs the label, his band's called Niner Niner.
Oh, tight.
And they're pretty sick. The Contranistas, who's playing with us tomorrow and Saturday, they're like a instrumental post-rock, kind of like in the vein of L1011.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, they're really talented guys. And then I know some of the band that just put a record out before us on Killer Kern, Still Missing, they're pretty rad.
Nice.
And then there's another band, they're not technically on the label, but like friends of the label, called If It Kills You. I've known those guys for a while and played with them in the past, and they're playing the show with us on the 21st also. Yeah. But they're killing it right now. Their record was produced by Jim Ward, and so that's pretty sick that they got to work with him.
Yeah.
I just want to thank you. Like thanks for having us. Thanks for recording us.
Yeah.
Thanks for the interview. Appreciate it. Thanks for keeping this stuff alive. I mean, people like you without any expectation of getting really anything in return other than just being in it for the love of the game is kind of what keeps the stuff together. So keeps it moving forward. So
yeah. And I mean, like, also like same to you guys, like you guys are doing the same thing. You know what I mean? Like with your bands or like your organizing that you used to do like back in the day. I don't know. We're all just in the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Pulling together.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
all for the love of ICP.
All for the love of ICP, dude. That's what keeps me coming back, dude.
Love,
baby. Well, I kind of have like one last question here for you guys. It's kind of like the biggest of the show. You guys all have to answer it. But real quick, before we jump into that, I also just want to ask, where can people keep up with all things Do You Compute, and like where can people like find your music, get your vinyl, keep up with your shows?
Hit up our MySpace on use your MindSpring web browser.
Yeah, use Ask Jeeves and type Do You Compute?
Hell yeah.
Probably our Instagram.
Just go to Bandcamp.
I think our Instagram or our Bandcamp. Yeah, the Bandcamp
That's pretty much all we have.
Has the vinyl and the full length on it now, and
and check out Killer Kern's Bandcamp too.
Mhm.
Where, we're listed there with a bunch of other awesome bands.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So back to this really important question. Are you guys ready for it? You all have to answer it.
All right.
So a rat is going to jump into your mouth. Do you want this rat to jump into your mouth head first or butt first, and why?
I'm gonna go butt first, even if it does a little number 1, number 2, maybe number 3 in my mouth. That's the risk I'm willing to take. I don't want to get bitten in my mouth, so it's where my head's at.
Butt guy, yeah, that's dope.
Yeah, I mean, hope I don't have to do that, but yeah, I'll go tail first.
Dope.
Dude, I'm going head first all the way.
Wow.
Are you gonna Aussie that thing or what?
Exactly. I'm gonna channel my inner Aussie and just
and tear it up.
Take that thing out in one bite.
Oh, dope.
Open P is pretty hardcore though. Just saying.
I'm gonna do butt first.
Why?
Just the thought of a rat biting my tongue is like probably the most disturbing image, like nightmare fuel I can think of. I don't know. It's pretty bad. Like the tail going in your mouth too, or like the tail going down your throat is kind of scary. But
also, rats have huge balls. Have you ever seen how big rats' balls are?
Yeah,
that would be a bummer too.
It's all a bummer, but like
a bummer. Yeah, the whole thing's kind of a bummer, Thomas.
Yeah, the whole thing is, I guess.
What's your answer, Thomas?
Yeah, Thomas, butt or head?
Butt first, because then I would calm it down by petting it on its head, and then I would put it underneath my hat, and we make some ratatouille.
Oh,
didn't know that was an option.
I got this one thought out, guys. I've been asking. But anyways, that's all we have for today. Thanks for tuning into TBD on KCSB FM 91.9 every Sunday 4 to 6 p.m. and NetNet Radio every Saturday 4 p.m. This is Do You Compute out of Santa Barbara, or I should say Goleta, Carpinteria, and Ventura. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.